Hello everyone, today I'm here to review for you this brand new two-player game called Leaders from Studio H. This was provided to me for the review, but I'm still going to go over roughly how the game plays and give you some pros and cons to let you know if it should be added to your collection. Now let's jump into it. Leaders is a two-player tactical duel, and over the course of the game, your leader will recruit champions to their cause, all with the idea to slowly box in and either have two of your champions stood next to the enemy leader to capture it, or just have them fully boxed in so their leader can't move. So how does an actual turn work? Well, you get to activate all of your champions, including your leader, and they can either do a movement of one space to an adjacent space, or they can activate their special power. These special powers range from everything from moving multiple times in a straight line, perhaps pushing back opponents' pieces, maybe giving the ability, an ongoing ability to your leader that it can move two spaces instead of one, maybe hook-shotting across the map or leapfrogging over another character, another champion already on the battlefield. Once you've activated all of your champions that you wish to, you don't have to move everything or activate an ability, it's then onto the recruitment phase. In this recruitment step, you're going to look at the market at the side of the board and choose one of the three available champions. Then, taking the standee of that matching champion, you'll add it to your effectively back row to spawn it in. In future rounds, you'll then have that champion on the board to either move or use the special ability of. Now you do this until you have 5 champions, and then your opponent has 5 as well, and then you'll for the rest of the game just be skipping that recruitment phase. And it's therefore then it just moves all to just the actions, moving and trying to capture the opponent's leader. So that's how you play Leaders. Now let's go through some pros and cons and general things to let you know if you should be adding it to your collection. And we're going to start off with the core of the game, that this is a really great tactical duel. And I say and I stress that because this is definitely the tactical side rather than the strategic side of gameplay. You can't necessarily go into the game with a grand plan. You might, when playing the expert mode, where you can effectively choose any of the available champions, because it's a slightly different recruitment phase, you can go into it a little bit with, I would really like maybe these 2 champions, because their powers really can work together and combo nicely. But even then, your opponent could just take one of those and your strategic plan falls down quite quickly. It's therefore much more tactical. It's reacting to the placement of the pieces, of the champions in that sort of hexagonal sort of shaped grid. It's all about reacting to what abilities, oh, that thing there, that champion means it cannot be moved by my abilities, nor can anything adjacent to it. So all of a sudden, taking that champion from over there that maybe would swap with a visible champion, that power's now not as good as it would be in another game. So you have to tactically react to what your opponent has, and the game is that sort of concept, and I certainly like it. I recently heard some games described as Pringles, and the idea of once you pop you can't stop. And I think Leaders kind of has that logic to it, because once you've started playing and you've finished a game, it's very hard not to slide all the pieces off to the side, shuffle that deck of cards up to redo that market of champions, and go again. It's very, very hard to just play a single game of this. You know, you normally want to do at least like a best of 3. Maybe you get 2-0'd or win 2-0, but you kind of always want to do that sort of best of 3. It's just one of those experiences that, yeah, you play it once, oh, but rematch, right? And I think that's a great sign of a game when it's quick enough and fun enough that you want to play straight away. It's not even, oh, I want to play that again later. It's, I want to play it again now. A fantastic feature that keeps the games feeling different is that there are 16 different champions included in the box. Now we'll touch on 2 of them in a minute, but 16 different champions. You're going to effectively have 4 on each side alongside your leader once the recruitment phase parts are done. And then you could play a second game with completely different champions. And that's before you start reshuffling the deck. And it really is going to feel different depending on which characters come out, because some are just little movements, some are big across map jumps, and they just shake the game up quite a lot and make it very sort of different. A great example of how things are shaken up are the archer and the assassin. Normally, to capture an enemy leader, you need 2 of your champions next to their leader. The archer can't be next to, has to be 2 spaces away in a straight line. That's quite different, and also something different maybe for your opponent to keep an eye on. Or there's the assassin, which doesn't need anyone else. It just needs to get next to the enemy leader. But obviously it doesn't therefore have its own bonus movements, so it's just going to be slowly each round plodding 1 space across the map, unless you start maybe moving it with an ally or swapping it with an ally and different things like that. And so you can start to see how you can combo abilities, and therefore by not having like the archer or assassin in one game and then having them in the next, how it can feel really different. Unfortunately, there is a slight negative on 2 of them. So I'd say 14 of the 16 are super quick and easy powers to understand and utilise. And yes, some of them might seem less good at times, but maybe they're just more situationally good. There are, however, 2 champions that are a little bit harder, and I would sort of almost recommend not using them in like your first game just in case. Both have cool abilities, but for instance, the first one is actually 2 champions, but one of them can't help capture a leader, so good for blocking in and, you know, just being unique. Whilst Nemesis doesn't automatically move during the action phase, it's during your opponent's turn, then the Nemesis gets to move, and they're just a little bit harder. I like the fact that they're included. I just think that the rulebook maybe should have highlighted them and sort of said, look, for your first few games, maybe keep those over to the side. We definitely have done that sometimes when I've taught the game to someone new, and it's just worked better than having to sort of teach that little extra quirky sort of champions. So I'm just surprised something like that wasn't automatically included in the rules. But regardless, even if it's just the 14 of the 16 champions that are super quick and intuitive, you've got so much variety from those, and 16 overall, you're going to just have pretty much every game of this feeling a little different. The cards are really nice as well. They're thick, they are, I think, embossed. I don't know if that's quite the right term, but there's shinier bits to them. They have a good amount of space there to tell you in the text what the ability is. Super obvious which champion piece it refers to. They're just really nice. We can't not talk about this game without talking about the box it comes in, because there's certainly something premium feeling about this. You open the lid up and you've got the board and the cards there, and then you have a nice pull-out drawer. I really like this because it means in this special drawer, not only does it feel kind of nice pulling that drawer out and seeing the pieces there, it also means you can leave all the champions on their bases when you put the game away. It's just a nice little thing that every game you don't have to keep putting the champions back on those bases, which also in turn means it's quicker to set up and tear down. You're not putting things on bases or taking them off bases to try and squeeze them back into a box. Now, one unfortunate thing that has crept into the box is a couple of tiny mistakes in the rulebook. Nothing that's going to stop you learning the game with ease, but just some oddities, such as instead of or, they've got OU, which I'm assuming is or in French, but I don't know. There's also in the champions section, so Claw's ability, the diagram is correct, but the actual text is the same as the Royal Guards. It's just a little quirk. Now, the reminder reference cards that you get for each player, that is correct. So you don't have any issues. I looked at the diagram and straight away I knew what Claw's ability was. The wording's just obviously not right. It's just an odd one. I have let them know they are going to be looking into it for future print runs. It does not stop you learning the game with ease. You won't really get tripped up by it, but I do have to mention that little quirk. One final thing that could be a pro or a con, it kind of depends on who you are, is there is what I would call in this a handshake moment. A moment where you know you've lost, your opponent just needs to take their turn. So what I mean by that is when you're playing card games or maybe something like chess, you know, okay, I'm in a situation I can't get out of. My opponent needs to make a specific move, and as soon as they make that, they've won. So for instance, sometimes in this you can get sort of almost penned in and know that I can't move my leader away in a beneficial way, that on my opponent's turn they're just going to move one of their champions one space and claim victory. And that is a handshake moment. You go, good game, you've got me there, let's go on to the next. As I said earlier, I think you will want to go on to another game. Some people don't like that in a game. They don't like it that a turn away you can see, I can't do anything, you're just going to do this, good game. I think it works because you can then get straight into that next game, or you can always go, okay, I pass, your turn, finish me off, and good game. It's one of those things that some people might like, won't like, so I can't say it's necessarily a pro or con for you. Personally, I like it when you can sometimes go, yep, you've got me. You can make the final move if you really want. I can flick my leader over, like flicking my king over in chess, to resign. Some games just have that. Some brilliant games have that, and it's just an aspect of leaders that's there. And like I say, you just go on to the next game and say, rematch. So I have really enjoyed my plays of Leaders. I got my first hands-on experience with the game at UK Games Expo, and I knew as soon as it was coming out I wanted to play more of it. And you know what? I still want to play more of it. I love the fact that every game feels that bit different because the champions that come out of that market are different. Yes, you can play the expert mode where they're always all available, but I kind of like the extra tactical reactionness to what is available in the market. So not only does it have the replayability, it's got the gameplay that makes you want to replay it, and it's got some decent production value to go alongside it as well. I really enjoyed this one. Staying on the shelf for sure, that's Leaders. If you've had a chance to play this, because as I said, it was at UK Games Expo and I'm sure other conventions more recently, let me know what you think of it in the comments section below. But for me, I can definitely recommend this if you're after a fast tactical two-player game. That's Leaders. Until next time, have a champion-filled good day.